The Apostle Paul said, that I may know him and the power of his resurrection, the fellowship of his suffering. He made this declaration for the knowledge of Christ. He had been in service to God. He had been in service to Christ. He had been in service to ministry probably about 30 years now. And yet his desire was to know him. You see, I believe that serving in ministry does not guarantee intimacy with God. Remember, intimacy happens behind closed doors, not on the pulpit, not in the face of the world watching. And see, the Apostle Paul, after so many years of service to God, after giving his life over to the Lord, he made this declaration, saying that nothing else up until that moment that he had accomplished, nothing else that he had done for the Lord up until that moment mattered, if only he could gain the excellent knowledge of Christ. What would be the excellent knowledge of Christ if it wasn't something he had already gained in the probably last 30 years of serving Christ? I believe that he was referring to the totality of who Christ is, the totality of God. And you know what? I actually think that what he was desiring was something that wasn't possible on this side of eternity. Because I believe that there is a side of God that is okay for us to know, that will be revealed to us on this side of eternity. But our finite time here isn't enough to really get to know who God is in all of his glory, in all of his awe. So the Apostle Paul had this desire, saying, I might have known you this long, but I have a greater desire to know you more in all of your completeness. The kind of desire that he was asking for was one that would really require a deeper knowledge, a deeper walk with the Lord. And I believe that it's time for us to have that kind of desire too. See, like I said earlier, our finite time on the earth can only allow us to know God in a unique and personal way that he would allow to express himself to us. We cannot know him in all of his glory and all of his awe. So that means that for you to have the kind of intimacy we've been talking about, you need to know who God is to you. You need to know his name. Who is God to you? What is his name? Yes, we know that he's Adonai. He's Jehovah Jireh. He's our provider. He's God, the fighter of our battles. Jehovah Sabaoth. He's all of these wonderful names. Jehovah Nisi, Jehovah Rapha. But you know what? He wants you to have a name for him. A name that is born out of your experience of him, with him. And you know, the funny thing is, all of these names that God was called in the Bible, they were out of a revelation that these people had of God. They were out of their own experience with him. So every name that you see written in that word was either as a result of God's revelation of himself to the people or out of their own revelation and, relationship with him. So maybe we're experiencing him as God, the fighter of our battles. Maybe we're experiencing him as God, our provider. Maybe we're experiencing him as God who heals us. But the funny thing is, we haven't even experienced the totality of God that's, displayed in the Bible. And I still believe that that isn't all that there is to God. And I believe that because for me, he's God, my thriller. He thrills me. He's Jehovah, my thriller. And that has been born out of my experience with God. That is who he is to me. That is what I call him. So he's no longer just Jehovah, my healer. He's no longer just Jehovah, my provider. He's no longer just Jehovah who sanctifies. He's no longer just Jehovah Nisi, Jehovah Rapha, Jehovah Sabaoth, Jehovah Sekeno. He's no longer all of that. But now he's God, my thriller. And that has been born out of my unique personal relationship with him. And I do know that God wants to have a unique personal relationship with you and reveal himself to you based on the uniqueness of your relationship with him. Remember what the Apostle Paul said? He said, I am willing to count everything else up until this moment as dung. Everything else up until this moment like it's worth nothing. If only I could gain that excellency of the knowledge of who Christ is. See, for you to get to that point, you're saying, God, everything that happened yesterday, everything that I've accomplished the last 30 years, I think that's a long time. But you're saying, God, it doesn't matter because I want to see you every day from a new perspective. He wanted to start the discovery process of knowing God all over again. You know what? I believe that a lot of our marriages can actually, learn from this. This could be a lifelong secret to all of our marriages. If we could only begin to look at our marriages and look at our spouse with that new discovery, with that new passion to rediscover, to see that there is another layer of you that I'm yet to discover. After all, people are married 70 years, 60 years, 50 years, and they're still saying, I'm in love. I'm waking up to you every morning, and there's still so many layers of you yet to be discovered. I think that's the way it is with God, that there's so many layers to God that we cannot unravel them all on this side of eternity. We're going to have to wait until we get to heaven. We're going to have all that time with him anyway. But he still wants you to know a side of him personally for your own self. When he gave manna in the wilderness, he said he wasn't going to last the next day. It's the same thing in marriage. See, the point system, a lot of men understand, it doesn't last. You've done all those wonderful and beautiful things for your wife, but come tomorrow morning, she's anticipating something else. Because it's just like manna. The point system starts again at 12 midnight. And that's the way it is with God. I can't say because I had an awesome time in his presence today, I'm just going to feed on that for the next couple of days. He wants you to be hungry for him every day, every morning. He wants that passion going on, just like it was for the Apostle Paul. So I have to ask you, who is God to you? What do you call him? What is his name? A friend of mine said he tickles her, and I love that. But for me, he thrills me. And he wants to reveal himself to you in a way that is unique to you as well. Psalm 9:10 says that those who know you, Lord, those who know your name, they trust in you. Because you, O Lord, you will never forsake those who seek you. Those who know his name trust in him. Remember we talked a little bit about trust the last time? That trust is born out of an intimate relationship with God. Well, I do hope we get to talk about trust again. But until then, go spend some time knowing him. Go spend some time getting that name that God wants you to discover about him for yourself. From your friends at Marriage Vibe, we'll love you, and we're looking forward to what you're going to discover. Who is God to you, and who do you say that he is? God bless you.